Am I in the wrong for donating sperm without telling my wife? I became a sperm donor when I was in college. I mainly did it just to earn some spare change, and I thought I would be helping people who want children, but for whatever reason are struggling. I met my wife in my last year. We have been married for about 6 years and I don't donate anymore. We have our own children and everything is okay, but a couple years ago we went through a rough patch and I donated again to earn some money. I didn't really tell her because I didn't see it as a big deal, and it wasn't a lot. I got about $150 to tide us over for the week and we went on about our business. I forgot about it. The other week a conversation popped up with our friends who is having fertility issues, and I brought up that I used to be a donor and my wife was more shocked than I expected her to be. She looked visibly shaken, but moved on quickly. When we got home she brought it up again, and I explained the story and how I forgot about it over time and didn't see it as a big deal, and she got quite upset saying I might have potential children I don't know about. I don't have children I don't know about because the only children I have are with her, but she is insisting this is some form of betrayal almost. Maybe I should have told her. I'm definitely feeling like a major asshole right now. Update. So my wife took the day off work and I haven't slept all night. We are going to send the kids off to their grandparents' house for the day and night, so we have until tomorrow to just spend time together sorting this out. I will update this again probably later / tonight when this is resolved. I just need to spend the day listening to all her worries and answering all her questions, and she needs to feel heard and validated in her concerns. I'm sorry but this is whack. My body my choice counts for men too, and you can do what you want with it. Why are people judging for doing what you had to do to have money for your family? Have they just never been that check to check before? It's common for men and women to sell their body parts to science through blood, platelet, marrow, sperm, and egg donation. Those aren't your kids. People in the position to use the sperm anyways are desperate for children. The child they have is theirs and theirs alone. It doesn't matter whose bits help make it. Definitely should told your wife though that you were doing it after marriage. Just because of the communication factor between spouses. It's healthy, but still your body your choice, not the asshole. Holy shit dude, my dad did this, and from personal experience, I can tell you you're the asshole. 4 years ago, I discovered I have this exact situation. I'm older, I have grown children of my own, and out of the blue we got contacted by the State Donor Association saying we had a biological relative wanting to make contact. I found out that I have 3 half siblings, now in their 40s, that I never knew about. At the time we found out, dad was too far gone in dementia to take part in the conversation, so mum and my brother and I had to deal with the emotional fallout without him. We still don't know the reasons why he donated, but I was about 10 years old at the time and he never mentioned it. This was a major drama for us to deal with, and was the straw that broke the camel's back in terms of my mum having a breakdown dealing with dad in his dying years. She felt so betrayed. It really disrupted our family and was a lot to deal with. You're the asshole. I was going to say not the asshole for your decision pre-meeting your wife. You're the asshole for donating while married until I read your comments. Now it's just AITA. Are you really so naive? Even if you signed a contract at the clinic that you can't be contacted, familial DNA testing is increasingly popular. So yes, while you are just a donor, that doesn't mean the children conceived by your donation won't contact you one day. I actually will go with no assholes here. I get why he did it, and it is his body to ultimately be making that decision, and I'm almost certain any kids produced from his donation won't be in his life like that. He did something nice for people and saw it as a way to make money. I get why she's a little hurt by it. An open conversation with her explaining why you did it both times would have been the best. I appreciate you both trying to work on it. Not the asshole, and I genuinely cannot understand why it would be. The donations pre-marriage? Absolutely not anyone's business, as much as how often you donated blood before getting married is really no one's business. However, even after getting married, it's your body and your choice. Could you have talked to her about it? Sure. But even if she wasn't really on board, she can't actually stop you from donating your own bodily fluids. And to clarify, I also feel the same way in the other direction. OP would have no say in whether his wife decided to donate some of her eggs. And I think, if the roles were reversed, you would find a lot of people rightfully calling him controlling and out of line. There's a lot of correct you're the assholes out there. And to an extent, your ashlery does somewhat depend on the timing. However, I say no assholes here. They will never be your kids, unless you let them be. Your wife may see it as a horrible thing, but if we flipped it on its head, and you were infertile, would she be fussed with a married male donating sperm? $150 or not, it's a donation. We're here for unconditional generosity, because we hope that, if we were in someone else's shoes, they'd be someone else there for us. It's also genderless. Donating eggs would be no different. It morally has many similarities to organ donation. But ultimately, this is above Reddit's pay grade in helping you and your wife grant unconditional love/trust/communication for each other. If this gets in the middle, am I in the wrong for deciding not to let my husband into the delivery room? I, 29 female, and my husband, 30 male, have been together for 8 years. I'm now 8 months pregnant, almost 9 with a girl. In my husband's family, there is a tradition of naming a baby before it is born. The name is embroidered onto a blanket that has been passed down from generation to generation, and the baby is wrapped in the blanket when it is born. I'm trying to come up with a name we both like, but some of the names he suggests do not resonate with me. My husband has been getting annoyed with me lately and telling me to just pick a name for the baby. As his grandmother's name was Beatrice, he wants to name her that, but I just don't like it. I wanted to have a list of names, so that when I see her I can name her after what I think is appropriate. Although it can sound odd, I wanted to see her before naming her, but have decided not to so that he can please his family. In honor of my late sister, I want to name her Jessica. That was her name before she passed away from a heart attack. It means a lot to me, but I hadn't told him that particular name because I didn't want to hear any insults about it. Every time I suggest a name he'll attack it, calling it ugly in a variety of ways. Today his mother was pressuring me to suggest a name, and I just blurted out the name Jessica. After a pause and a laugh, she said it was a name for a large girl, and it was a very unsuitable name. She went on to ask me if I wanted the baby to be ugly and if I was trying to ruin its life before it was even born. Initially, I was overwhelmed with anger and asked her to stop talking more harshly than I should have, as she didn't have the right to imply others are ugly when she herself is no beance. Annoyed, she told me to leave her house. Not wanting to cause a further argument, I left, and when I returned home my husband explained to me that he was extremely disappointed in my actions and that he couldn't look at me. As he is close with his sister, he vented with his frustrations with her, which she then did to her mother. The next day she was at my doorstep and told me that she decided on a name and then said my decor was tacky. She said she was naming the baby Connie after her mother. It was a name neither I nor my husband picked and wouldn't cause an argument between us. I told her no and asked her to leave, and eventually she did, but not after some insults were issued to me. I asked my hubby about it and he said I have no right to speak about any of this, as I also have not been open to the names that he suggests. He then said that I was incredibly selfish and said I should go. I packed my things, then went to my older sister's house. She was fuming at my husband and how they insulted our younger sister's name. He's been trying to contact me for a few days now, apologizing, but I don't want to speak to him. I've also decided that I'm not telling his family when I go into labor, and if I must I'm not allowing them anywhere near me while I'm birthing the child. Am I in the wrong? Everyone sucks here. Mother-in-law is an a-hole for obvious reasons. Husband is an a-hole for being rude about the names you like, for not standing up to his mother, and for asking you to leave when you are 8 months pregnant. For frick's sake, you both should be a team and he should have your back. With you it's more complicated and I'm undecided. If you have wanted Jessica from the get-go, you should have said so. I'm guessing you have kinda turned down any name that wasn't Jessica without actually saying you wanted Jessica. Now when it comes to your husband, what are your plans? Is this fixable, or are you planning to leave? I understand not wanting to cause yourself stress in the last stretch of your pregnancy, but just ignoring a partner after a fight is immature and shows lack of communication skills. You have had 3 days to cool off. At this point you are just ignoring him, likely because you want to hurt him. Either this is a straw that broke the camel's back and your relationship is irretrievable, in which case start looking into options for divorce. Hide away as much as you want and ignore him/ban him all you like. Or you think this relationship is fixable. But it'll be a lot easier to fix it now, before you give birth and are a hormonal, sleep-deprived mess. And before banning him from the delivery room causes a huge level of resentment in your relationship. You're the asshole. If you keep a father from being there for the birthing of his child and yours, there's no undoing that. He's trying to apologize, make things right, and bring this child into the world together. Him missing out on that bonding moment will have a huge impact on the relationship. This is not the hill you want to die on. Pick a name, settle on it together and move forward. Remember it's his kid too. You both get a say. Not the asshole. This family sounds terrible. I don't understand how you've lasted 8 years interacting with them. I can't look at you? Yeah, I'd be feeling like good. You no longer have to. It sounds like there is not going to be any common ground on the naming thing. Not that it's my place at all, but one possible olive branch might be naming her Jessica Beatrix, which is just cooler than Beatrice, in my opinion, with apologies to folks whose parents didn't opt for the name ending in X. Then if fam wants to call her by her middle name, they can, and you can honor your sister in a beautiful way. Edit. Thank you for the awards, kind strangers. Am humbled. Am I in the wrong for refusing to give my niece our dog's room? For the past month my 24-year-old niece has been living with us. I'll call her Princess, because that's what her parents call her most of the time. She is a medical researcher, studied medicine but wasn't interested in the practical side of things, more interested in the theoretical, and took up a position near where we live, and my sister convinced me to let her stay, so she can save money. I was apprehensive, because I know this girl has been coddled and babied since she was little. We have a 4-bedroom house, me and my husband, my son, 16, my daughter, 21, and our 4-year-old Rottweiler Freddy. I told sister that Princess would have to sleep on the sofa in the living room, which she seemed okay with, but when she arrived both mother and daughter set about trying to convince me to clear out the dog's room and let her sleep in it. Princess even said it would be okay to make him sleep outside, because it's just a dog. It's getting a lot colder now, and I'd never let Freddy sleep outside. I told Princess that this is where she'd sleep, take it or leave it, and she was, and still is, really sulky about it, sulking about how we think a dog is more important than her. In all honesty, I was right in thinking having Princess stay is more trouble than it's worth. She goes out clubbing and partying a lot, and makes no effort to keep the noise down when she comes home in the early hours of the morning. Since she's arrived, the living room smells of weed, and that smell definitely wasn't there before she came. She's also rude to my kids. My daughter got engaged, and we were all delighted, but Princess was lovely enough to say that if her boyfriend had gotten her a cheap ring like that, she wouldn't even get out of bed for the wedding. My daughter was in tears because of this, and both husband and I had a word with Princess, who then cried and phoned up her mother saying we were rude to her. Had another phone call with sister today, and she still tried to convince me to put her daughter in the dog's room. I made clear this wasn't happening, and sister got upset with me saying how nasty it was to value pets over family. I also said that her daughter was skating thin ice, and that I wouldn't tolerate her behavior for much longer. Sister was very offended, and said we should be happy to have her daughter there. Sorry, but how can I be happy to have a spoiled overgrown child who keeps trying to steal a room from a dog in my home? Edit. A lot of replies here who don't seem to understand the situation. I won't say too much, as apparently arguing gets you banned from here. Firstly, to the people who have claimed I was acting snobby about Princess's job. That wasn't the case. I wasn't saying that she was more interested in the theoretical side of things so that I could say she's only a researcher. On the contrary, I specifically mentioned that she studied medicine so that people understood that she had a well-paid job in a selective intellectual field and wasn't some lab assistant or something like that. She earns enough that she could afford a place of her own if she wanted. She just wanted more money to herself. Also, the people who claim that I was being nasty to her because I didn't like her and things like that. I don't dislike her at all. I was apprehensive about having her, because having known her since she was born, I've seen many of her tantrums, and seen her parents give in to them over and over again even into her adulthood. I was worried about how things would turn out, since we wouldn't give in to her demands. She has tried to pick on both my children when she was a teenager, and we went through a period a few years back when my daughter refused to visit their home because Princess constantly bullied her. Regarding the dog's room, there isn't any furniture in Freddy's room that a 24-year-old woman could comfortably sleep on, and we weren't about to go and buy furniture since we didn't know how long she'd be staying. And for those who think I was trying my best to make her uncomfortable, not at all. We tried our best to make her feel welcome, gave her as much space as she wanted, and left the living room whenever she needed privacy. We gave her food, and while she brought more than enough clothes for home, I went clothes shopping with her and was happy to pay out of my own pocket. Within her first week here, Princess couldn't stop laughing when my daughter told her what she did for a living. Hairdresser, said that Freddy should sleep outside, and shouted at my husband because he hadn't cooked dinner quick enough. So you can't blame all this on me. Regarding the weed and clubbing thing, I've nothing against weed use. I smoked it a few times as a teenager, as did my husband, and I'm 99% sure my kids have both done it at some point, but that fact is it's completely illegal in this country. If she was doing it away from the house, I would not care at all. I wouldn't even have too much of a problem if she was smoking it outside, but it is obvious from the strong smell that she is smoking it in the house. I'm well aware that going out clubbing and making noise is what most people her age do. However, this particular 24-year-old doesn't bother to take her high heels off when she comes in, and as we have a wooden floor we can hear her stomping around in them, which wakes us all up. Last but not least, I didn't call her princess on here offensively. I wasn't going to put her real name on here obviously, and the fact is her parents genuinely do nickname her princess most of the time, and she doesn't mind it when they call her it. You're the asshole. I have had dogs most of my life and they are content sleeping on the couch. I can tell your niece is a brat, but I can also tell you probably are too. If I was under the impression that you only had a couch available and then showed up to find that there was a whole room being used for just a dog and would stay that way, I'd be upset and feel disrespected. I'm saying this as a fellow homie winner with kids. It also seems like you were very aware that your niece had a personality problem and chose to let her live with you anyways. If she offends you after that, you brought that on yourself. The dog probably has its own room to keep him from destroying the house. They put him in there at night, and when they can't be watching him. It could also have an old mattress or an old couch for him to rest on. Nothing that is good for a guest, but good enough for a dog. I would say that they are not the asshole, as they were clear of the situation beforehand, and she is a complete brat. I would have kicked her out after the ring issue, or the weed issue, if it is illegal where they are. Dogs don't have the same need for privacy that humans have. Princess might be a spoiled brat who is absolutely insufferable, but I'm willing to bet a couple of these issues could easily be resolved if she were given a modicum of privacy. As it is, she's got everybody scrutinizing her every minute she's in the house. This ain't her house, so she has the responsibility to be respectful by honoring the rules of the household. But without any privacy, of course she's going to act out. That's a lingering bad mood that's likely to be spread to others. Everyone sucks here, easily. Please subscribe so I can reach my goal of 500 subscribers. Please.